Great to be back with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day, always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. Thanks for joining us for this special edition of Locked On Texas Tech, where we dive into voices from the YouTube comments. Appreciate all those out there who are mixing it up in the comments section daily, and wanted to get to a couple of thoughts, comments, questions, allegations, or accusations to chew on as we roll into the weekend. Chris, let's get right on into question number one. Okay, this is from our buddy Texan in the Wash, 901. He wants to talk Taj Brooks. He says, since speed has been about the only thing holding Taj Brooks back from being the total package, is there any chance we see him play at a lighter weight this year? Thanks for the question, Chris. That's something I really hadn't considered, I suppose, but maybe there's something to it. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I think he played closer to 235, 240 last year. Did Taj? We know that the pounding that he took, you kind of need some of that. Does that in some ways slow him down? Probably a little bit. But I would say to you that I think the goal here, and I think he's on the way to doing that, I think the goal here is for him to be, this is always like a chemistry experiment with these guys. When you get a nutritionist involved and you get a highly motivated athlete, and, because I saw a picture of him, Taj, the other day, and he looked slimmer to me. But he's not necessarily slimmer. He's just kind of moving that weight around on his body, if that makes sense. It's like, he's a bit bigger here, not as big there, all that kind of stuff, right? And that's that's kind of what happens when athletes that are highly motivated and they have quality people around them training them, and you've got the time and the discipline and all that to make it happen. But ultimately, to answer the question, I think that 225 to 230 is the sweet spot here. I think that gives him enough, bulk. It also drops a little bit. It's a little bit lower than last year. And while you're saying to yourself, how much difference is 5 to 8 pounds or 10 pounds? Pick up a 5 or 10 pound dumbbell and just feel it and go, okay, well that's it gives you a different perspective there. On kind of, but I think that's the goal. And I think to the point of the person asking the question, Taj is never going to be blazing fast. That's just not who he is. Okay. Yeah. He's an in between the tackles runner. He's a toughness runner. He's gonna try to initiate contact and try to run away from it at times. When he can get in the open field and he can run faster than most. He's just not, electric fast, like some of the guys that we have seen. But I think, yeah, long story short, I think, yes, he's trying to be a bit lighter, moving some of that weight around on his body differently, and just kind of, trying to be, this is where, you have a very mature though player. Taj will talk at length about sleep cycles, about, like massage therapy or cryotherapy, all the, like, you can just tell older players that have been through it. You try to tell a young guy, it's like I try to tell my kid this all the time, dude, stretch, drink something or eat something after you work out or whatever, so you're not sore. All the thing, and younger ones or lazy ones just ignore it. They don't pay attention. These older motivated players are like, yep, I wish I'd have, listened to that info the day I came in here, but no, I thought I knew everything. And so, but Taj is one of these. He will look right and will have used his time very wisely, in my opinion, in the offseason.
That's interesting, because I really just wonder in general, like, how much speed is there to gain for a guy like that by dropping some LBs, or are you kind of what you are in that department, which sounds like there's a little truth to that. But I also, would not want Taj Brooks to be tinkering so much that he sacrifices the ability to be what he's been so good at, and that's busting these boys up, hitting them right in the damn mouth.
Maybe, Maybe the word we should use is not necessarily gaining speed, although you're trying to. But how about if we phrase it, quickness? Adding
Gotcha.
quickness.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe in a phone booth, I've got a little more juice with my my wiggle, if you will, because I'm just a touch lighter, and I've shifted some of that weight around, and I can make a guy miss more, not as opposed to being able to just say run away from, because some of that speed, you can only control so much of that. Some people are just gifted, and just given that, and they can increase it and train and maximize it and all those things. Tahj can too, and we're making it sound like Tahj is slow. He is not. However, a lot of the running backs that get it picked high end in the draft or that are some of the best, they have elite breakaway speed. Like they get in open field and it's like, goodbye, you're not catching them. And that's not necessarily Tahj, but he is a quality running back that's one of the best in the country coming back and his 1,500 yards and all those things. But I think that's a great observation or great question by whoever asked that.
Yeah, and I think sometimes that what we're describing here can kind of spell the difference between being an every down kind of guy in the NFL or a third down kind of guy. So be curious to see what the future holds for Taj Brooks, and we'll be curious to see what Taj Brooks is holding LB wise when he shows up in the fall.
And it's funny you say that about every down back, because one of the things why you wouldn't want him to be just too light is one of the key components, especially in the NFL, and it's certainly a big thing here, blitz pickup. Yeah. If you're a little light in the trousers there, and you can't pick up a linebacker or a defensive end, coming around the edge to protect your quarterback, you have no shot to play at any level. Tahj is very good at this. He throws that weight around with a purpose, and that's why his Kenny Perry loves him. That's why an NFL coach eventually will love him, because he is not shy. He will deliver a blow, but you got to have something there to deliver a blow with. Right. And you don't want him losing too much.
All right. Appreciate the question there. Onward to question number 2. First, today's episode brought to you by Gametime. Never sweat buying tickets to your favorite events again with Gametime. It's always a breeze using the Gametime app, where you're going to find the best last-minute deals. And I love being able to scout out a view from any seat before pulling the trigger. And of course, it's always at the lowest price, guaranteed. Gametime has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it begins, which means you can finish off that last beer at the tailgate at your own pace, because Gametime is the place to find last-minute seats to any event. They give you the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets, but not just fast and easy, also secure and simple to use. So right now, download the Gametime app and create an account and use the promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem our promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today for last-minute tickets at the lowest price, guaranteed. This is from our guy, Renoleum, 81061. Can you guys ever see a day where we actually see relegation of teams or programs as a reality in college sports? This word has been thrown out there a lot more often recently, of course, Chris, and in some of these bygone like Super League conversations, it has talked about, hey, there's going to be a set of like 60, 65, 70 who are always in, but then there might be some smaller category, whether it's group of 5 or whatever, that are sometimes in and then sometimes not in that bigger picture. I don't know if that exactly fits the definition of relegation as the viewer or listener is thinking about it in his or her own head, but the concept is an interesting one. I'm not so sure. There's going to be obviously pros and cons to it, but there are other major sports around the world who obviously do things like that. Wondering how you feel about the possibility of that actually someday being a reality when it comes to college sports, I guess specifically college football.
Yeah, and the way the Premier League does relegation is there's so many football clubs, I guess they would term them as, in that part of the world. And you have to, earn your right to stay at that level. Otherwise, they just you play in the secondary league, and it just it's this constant rotation, right? And I think it's every year. I think that's how it works. It's every year. I don't see like this version of relegation as it relates to college football. No, but I would tell you that the way I view relegation, like, and somebody's sitting here saying, would we actually ever see this? You already have, people. What do you think just happened to Washington State and Oregon State?
That's a good point.
They were relegated. They are not in any way you want to view this with the top of college football. They don't belong in any. They don't get the money. They don't have an access point to a league. They have no representation hardly. Their new TV deal is on the CW, for goodness sakes, that was just announced this week. I mean, they had to cut their coaching salaries by half and all these things. People are bailing out and transferring left and right. I mean, they didn't make the cut, and so here's what I would tell you. 1,000% guaranteed to see this happen to somebody or somebody's again soon. Now, soon, is that 6 months? Is that the next 5 years? But at some point, and you keep an eye on that ACC, but at some point, and we've all already heard from, folks like Jamie Pollard from Iowa State, who said, if I was in the SEC, I might be looking over my shoulder. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Rutgers. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you, Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
I'm talking to, Mississippi State, and so one of those leagues could go, you know what, guys, it's not you, it's us. But hey, we appreciate everything you've done. Here's your cookie. Take it and go. You're done here. So there's a lot of different ways that relegation could happen to where you're just not a part of the big group with an access point to the playoff and getting, quality, media right money and all those things. But it just happened to those two schools on the Pac-12 in the Pac-12 true. On the left coast, man. And it's, I don't know if they'll ever recover. I think there's a lot of people rooting for them. They feel like bad for them. But nobody's throwing them a lifeline either, saying, "Oh, yeah, we'd love for you to join our league." It just doesn't exist.
And it's hard to drum up a lot of sympathy. Again, I've made this point or tried to over and over. It's hard to drum up a lot of sympathy, at least from my perspective, when your fans and supporters are the ones that made this decision long ago that, hey, we're going to show up to the tune of about, 35,000 people per game on average. I mean, y'all made the decision to support the program to this level or not support the program to this level. And you're not the only ones, obviously, in this category. And that's kind of why Chris was mentioning what he just mentioned and why Jamie Pollard mentioned what he just mentioned. There are others who have, at least so far, been quote unquote grandfathered in to a degree as far as their seat at the big table. But I don't know, maybe there is a reality out there someday where that's not the case anymore. And as a fan, I honestly don't think that would be the worst thing. If you're not putting up, then maybe you're being forced to shut up at some point in time and go stand outside or go join the kids table. I'm not exactly sure what it would look like, but I think it's very possible. And maybe even as Chris indicated, via another kind of context, not necessarily relegation, but something we saw related to the Pac-2 that are now together. You can find them on the CW this fall. Maybe we see that happen again elsewhere. Appreciate that comment. Appreciate the questions. Keep them coming. Appreciate all of you who are in there mixing it up in the YouTube comments section regularly. And Chris, I appreciate your bonus time here today, man. Enjoyed it as always.
Absolutely. These are fun topics to talk about. There's a lot going on, in the comment section every day with these shows. Please keep it coming. We'll try to mix in more of these, especially in the summer months. We love doing it, and it gets us talking about things that we maybe have not have thought of otherwise. So I certainly appreciate it. But yeah, this is good stuff.
Yeah, appreciate all of you for being out there, and keep them coming, and we'll continue to consider anything you're throwing at us. So for Chris, I'm Casey. Thanks for joining us once again, and we hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.